Hey, it's Dave Wyman. Welcome to Football 101. I understand that Brock Huard went defense in his chalk talk, so I'm going to go offense. And actually, we didn't talk about it, but I saw something on offense that I've been talking about for a long time in the running game. Maybe not that significant of a play, but it meant a lot to me, and I think it's something that the Seahawks can really build on. That's the reason why I wanted to go to this today. One of the things I've talked about in the running game is that the Seahawks have been dominant in the running game 3 of the last 5 years. They weren't dominant last year. They were number 25. This year they're middle of the pack. They're getting about 100 yards. But I've said I think it's more on the running backs. For those few years, Marshawn Lynch was able to find little creases in the blocking. I don't think we've had a dominant offensive line, but we've had a dominant running game, and I think it's been mostly because of the backs. Thomas Rawls, rookie year, he was dominant. He was a guy who rushed for 850 yards, and it wasn't like the 2005 season with Sean Alexander where they were just blowing people off the ball with Walter Jones and Steve Hutchinson. So I think it's a lot about just finding little cracks, and we'll talk about a couple of things here. But let's take a look at this play. It was in the first quarter with 1:54 left. And the Seahawks are in an old-fashioned personnel grouping here. It's called 21 personnel. We know the first number is the number of running backs, and the second number is the number of tight ends. Used to see this 90% of the time, 75% of the time probably when I played. So you got 2 running backs in. This is Trey Madden, Eddie Lacy. I think the tight end is Luke here, Luke Wilson. So 2 running backs, 1 tight end, and then of course 2 wide receivers over here. This was so there's 21 personnel. This was kind of man-on-man blocking here. A lot of times they do a kind of a zone read thing where 2 guys start with a double team on the line of scrimmage and then 1 guy goes up to the next level. This is more just mano-a-mano, man. Guys just bodying a guy up and trying to get him out of the way. So let's look at how they did that. Luke gets his block over here. Right here, they started off with a little bit of that zone read sort of concept, because Oday Aboushi kind of gets a piece of this guy right here, this defensive lineman, for Ifedi, enough so Ifedi was able to turn on him and actually knock him off his feet. And then from there, he goes up and blocks the linebacker right here. Justin Britt gets a block here, and I think he originally wanted to turn him this way, but he couldn't get it done, so he just kept blocking him, and so he kind of got him turned that way right there. The left guard, who was Posick, he came over and blocked this guy, and Dwayne Brown went out and blocked this guy. So it's like he's on him, and then this backer right here is left for the fullback. And he came up, Trey Madden came up and got a piece of him as he scraped over into this area. So what you saw here is, I think the play was designed to go right here, but there wasn't the block there that Britt wanted to get. So the defensive tackle ended up being in this hole right here, in this gap, and so Eddie Lacy just adjusts to that. So what he ends up finding is a little bit of a cutback here, and ended up running the ball in between Justin Britt and in between Oday Aboushi, and he picked up 8 yards on the play. And I'm telling you, if you look at this play from the end zone, there's not that much of a crease there. So, but what you saw was, and I've used this phrase a lot of times, and Danny and Jim for some reason had never heard this. Jessamine said, yeah, I've said that like 35 times. It's embarrassing the number of times I say it. Hallway of blue butts. So basically what you're looking for as a running back, you're looking for, if you see a guy's rear end, that means he's got his defensive player turned and blocking him. And so that's kind of what he did. He sort of found his way through here. He started here, then he went here, and then he went there. So it's a very narrow little crease that you'll see on film that he found. It's not like anyone got like a blown off the line of scrimmage type of block. It was just a little crease there, and Eddie Lacy was able to find it, and he picked up 8 yards. So I thought that was something that was very positive that came out of that game in the running game. That's all you need. You don't need a hole that you can drive a truck through. You just need something that you can fit through. And actually Eddie Lacy kind of had to hop a couple of times in here to get over bodies that were in the way, but he got it done, and he saw that everybody had their guy turned. So there, it kind of looked like that. If these are butts, that's what it looks like to him. he's running in between the blocks there. So it was a really nice run by Eddie Lacy, picked up 8 yards. Here's the problem. Seahawks get 16 penalties in this game. So what happens right after this, instead of having a 2nd and 2, they end up getting a 2nd and 7 because there's a 5-yard penalty for an illegal substitution. Seahawks had too many guys in the huddle, and that was really what the day was about. Lots of penalties, and now all of a sudden they're 2nd and 7 instead of 2nd and 2, which 2nd and 2, I think you can take a shot downfield and then come back and still pick up 3rd and 2 on the ground. So that's eliminated. They end up in 3rd and 4 after this whole series plays out, and then Russell throws a pick. So it entirely changed the whole thing. But, you know, if they can just get this, and it's not like I said, it doesn't have to be a lot from the offensive line. You just need your running back to be creative and find those little spots in there, just like Marshawn Lynch used to do, and just like Thomas Rawls did when he was playing really well. So I thought this play, even though it was a very disappointing loss, this is a good sign that the Seahawks can possibly get the running game going this year. And I think that they learned something from this play and a couple of other ones where Thomas Rawls got loose as well. And if you look at those runs, there's not huge gaps in there. It's just the running backs finding the narrowest of creases and taking advantage of it.